Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, and today's video is the Game Week 11 watch list. So in this video, I've got 4 players that I think are good for this game week and the next several game weeks after that. And this week, they are all midfielders. Some cost a lot, some cost a little, and some cost in between around that 6 to 7 to 8 million pound price bracket. But anyway, enough of the waffling, let's get straight into the video. And the first player on the list is the Crystal Palace midfielder Conor Gallagher. So Conor Gallagher has managed to get himself a respectable 2 assists and 1 goal in his last 5 games, but one of those assists and the goal came in his last game against Man City, where Palace turned up at the Etihad and won 2-0. And yes, City did have a red card earlier on in the game, which was drawn by Wilfred Sahar. When he's about to turn in behind, Laporte brought him down for a Crystal Palace free kick and obviously got sent off. So yes, they were weakened, but Gallagher scored the goal, got an assist as well. It was a great finish. Everton had no chance off the post in, and I've watched quite a bit of Palace this season. They play an attractive brand of football under Vieira. They like to go forward, they like to press, and Gallagher is a pivotal role in that. He plays in that sort of, I think, number 10 position, but he sort of drifts out wide to the left and the right hand side and creates chances and obviously scored goals for Crystal Palace. Also, he comes in at 5.7 million, so he is cheap as chips. He's a lot cheaper than some of the other options on this list, and obviously you can't have bring a player in unless they're exceptional without a decent set of fixtures, and Palace have got a decent set of fixtures. In the next 5 games, 4 of them are decent fixtures. They've got Wolves, Burnley, Villa and Leeds in their next 4. Leeds, they're an iffy team. You know their qualities they have, but they haven't been at their best this season, although they have had a lot of injuries. Aston Villa, they do look a bit shaky at the moment. They conceded 4 to West Ham. They were pretty abysmal against Arsenal as well, so they're not in a great set of form. Burnley, they did beat Brentford, but you know with Burnley, they're not one of the top teams in the league, despite the fact Sean Dyche has done well so far as Burnley manager. He's kept them in the league for years, and they've got Maxwell Cornet, who would have been a decent option for this week, except he has Chelsea, but maybe next week you could look at bringing them in. And obviously they got Wolves as well, who played quite well yesterday. But out of those fixtures, Wolves, Burnley, Leeds and Villa, they are a decent set. And Conor Gallagher in the form he is, he could score a goal and get an assist in them. You never know. And as well as that, Conor Gallagher is only owned by 8.7% of the game. So if he does bring in a big haul, it does look rather great there because he is a differential pick. And now we move on to his Crystal Palace teammate, Wilfred Sahar. So arguably the main man for Palace, and he probably has been for a number of years now. Wilfred Sahar looks like another decent option in FPL at this moment in time. Against Man City, he got a goal, and obviously he drew that foul and got Laporte sent off when he turned him behind. And you know what Zaha's like, he's quick, he's agile, he's good with the ball at his feet, and he did very well to draw that foul, because Laporte thought if he's through, he's probably going to score, so I'll try and bring him down. I might get yellow card, but no, it was a red card, unfortunately for Laporte. So Zaha comes in at a bit more than Gallagher, he comes in at 6.9 million, but he is owned by slightly less at 6.1%, so he's a bit more of a differential, but he does cost a bit more money. And he has been in decent form recently. In his last 5 games, he's managed to get himself a respectable 2 goals. It's nothing special, but it's decent from Wilfred Zaha. And another thing that Zaha has that Gallagher doesn't have is, well, not another thing, but the one thing that Zaha has that Gallagher doesn't have is penalties. So if Palace get a penalty in the game and Zaha's on the pitch, which he pretty much is because he plays pretty much 90 minutes every week, Wilfred Zaha's going to take it. And his penalty record, I don't know too much about it, but I've seen him score, I think, 1 this season, or I've seen him score a penalty at some point. So yeah, he can put penalties in the back of the net. And like I've said with Gallagher, their fixtures are decent. Wolves, Burnley, Villa and Leeds. So really Zaha or Gallagher, you could bring either of them in. I would probably lean more towards Gallagher because he's a cheaper option. And I wouldn't say he's in better form, but he's a cheaper option. And you can spend more money on other players, like the player I'm going to move on to next. And that player is called Son. So at this time we're recording, Tottenham have got Conte in, and he's their new manager ready to take that Tottenham team forward. And what you often get when you bring a new manager in, the new manager bounce. So maybe Tottenham might get that new manager bounce, and maybe they might win comfortably against Everton. And you may say, well, Everton are a decent team, and they are. Rafa Benitez is a decent manager, but they've had quite a few injuries, missing a few key players, and they weren't great in their last 2 games. I watched them against Wolves in the first half. They were very poor. They got cut open a lot in midfield, and then they went and conceded 5 goals against Watford at home in the previous game. So Everton aren't in the best of form at the moment. Son has managed to get himself 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 5 games, which is a respectable tally considering Spurs haven't played that well and they haven't scored many goals this season. Yes, he comes in at 10.2 million, but if you bring in a player like Conor Gallagher, you may have the funds to stretch to Son when he's coming in at that high price tag. Also, he's owned by 17.4%, so he's not owned by a ridiculous amount, like Salah's owned by 70%, and he's not even owned by 30-40. He's still owned by quite a low amount of the game. And Many people may think, well, we'll bring him in game week 12 because he plays Leeds, which is a brilliant fixture at the moment. Burnley, another brilliant fixture for Tottenham. Brentford and Norwich. So 4 outstanding fixtures there for Tottenham. Some of the best teams they can play against in the league, especially if they want to pick up points, and especially under their new manager Conte to start to implement his tactics and stuff. So many people may think we'll bring them in then, and completely ignore that he plays Everton in game week 11, which is a red fixture for some reason because Everton have been poor recently, so I don't know why it's red. But you know what I'm trying to say. People may bring them in next week instead of this one, so maybe you can jump on the Son bandwagon 1 week early. And even after game week 15, they play Brighton and Leicester. You can keep him in for that, and you may think, oh, he plays Liverpool. Do I bring him out? Well, no, really, because after that they play Palace, Southampton, Watford. So Son, you could really keep him till game week 22, and then he's not really worth much of his money anymore. But until game week 22, they only have 5 red fixtures, 5 grey and red fixtures, and they've got an astonishing 7 green. So yeah, it does look well there for Son, and obviously Tottenham in general with their new manager. So we'll see how they go. You may want to say, let's leave it off for Everton, because you never know, they might not play that well at the start, and they may take time to implement the tactics. Or you may say, let's jump on it early, and bring Son into your team. Well, I did go on for a bit too long there, there's a bit of waffling, but you got the point. Son is a decent option. And this man is another decent option. He is the cheapest player on this whole entire list, but only by 0.1 million. And that man is called Mbeumo. I think that's how you say his name. So the Brentford forward, he was injured against Brentford, against Leicester, I think, and he had to come off, and then he missed a game against Burnley. But his flag has gone on FPL, which means he's probably going to be back in the Brentford team for the next several games. And I was about to say Norwich then, but that's who the team he plays next. And Mbeumo's only got 1 goal in his last 5 games, which isn't amazing. But the reason why I think you should probably look at bringing Mbeumo in is his fixtures. Have a listen to this. Brentford play Norwich, then Newcastle, then Everton, then Spurs, then Leeds, then Watford. So in that time, they've got 3 green fixtures. And if you're telling me Everton at the moment is a grey fixture, and if you're telling me Leeds at the moment is a grey fixture, you know what I'm trying to say? He does look like a decent option. Also, a lot of people may jump on the Tony bandwagon, and I think he's a great option. I think you should bring him in. But Mbeumo is only owned by 4.1%. So in, again, those next several games where they play Norwich and Newcastle, 2 of the easiest teams to score against in the league, he may get a couple of goals in that time. And if he's really lowly owned, it does look very good there for your rank. So Mbeumo does look like a decent option there, and I'm not going to waffle on with him like Son. You get the idea. Mbeumo, Son, Gallagher and Sahar. If I was to order them though, from best to worst, I would go Gallagher's probably the best option because he's cheap and the decent fixtures. Then close second place it's Son, because it's Son, he's a quality player, and they've got a quality set of fixtures, but the price tag is sort of a bit of an iffy one. And then I put in Zaha in third, comfortably. He's not an amazing option, but he's not the worst. And then at the bottom I put in Mbeumo. He's the worst option out of the bunch, but if you bring them in, I wouldn't blame you at all. It's just only because he scored 1 goal in his last 5 games, and you may not look to bring him in. Also, he's just come back from that low injury, so you don't know how much football he's going to play. But I would happily bring any of them into my team. I may look at bringing Gallagher into my team this week and possibly Son next week, but you'll see all of that in a team selection video. And I do hope you have enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. And if you have enjoyed it, do hit the like button and the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll catch you in the next one.